Hi, this is John McCutcheon. And my friends at the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress have invited me to participate in their 2020 virtual Homegrown concert series. So instead of coming to you from the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., I am here in my home studio in lovely Smoke Rise, Georgia. Now, the Folklife Center is going to be releasing a new concert every Wednesday through September 30th at noon East Coast time. Each of these concerts, like this one, are going to be pre-recorded to maximize audio and video quality. But each of the artists are going to be live in the comments after the concert to answer your questions and just have a bit of a chat. So please stop by and say hello. And after each concert, they're going to be posted and archived at the Library of Congress website and their YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be performing music that I collected in the field during the 1970s and 80s throughout Appalachia. We're going to be focusing primarily on West Virginia and Kentucky today, with a little bit of Southwest Virginia, my old home, thrown in for good measure. Now, all these people were teachers and mentors and great friends of mine. But like every musician, they didn't want me to simply be a musical parrot and play exactly like them. No, they wanted me to take their music and put my own personal stamp on it, and I did. And you can too. We're inviting you to join the Folklife Archive Challenge. Explore the thousands of songs that are available in their archives online at LOC for libraryofcongress.gov/folklife. Go in there, find a piece of music that you really love or that resonates with you, and put your own stamp on it. Take a video of it and post it with the hashtag that they will provide. All the instructions you're going to need are right there. So come on, join in. No one figures more prominently in my musical life than a retired coal miner from Chattaroy, West Virginia, by the name of Nimrod. Nimrod was born in Martin County, Kentucky, and at the age of 12, he went to work in the coal mines of Mingo County, West Virginia. Worked there for the next 42 years of his life. When he wasn't loading coal, and no Nimrod, I'm sure that when he was loading coal, he was organizing. He worked with John L. Lewis and Mother Jones to bring the United Mine Workers into the state of West Virginia. No mean feat. He fought in the Battle of Blair Mountain in 1921 in Logan County, West Virginia. He was a great singer of traditional songs. He wrote songs. Great storyteller, loved to party, always the last one to bed and always the first one up in the morning, and not incidentally, he made the best biscuits I ever put in my mouth. And he taught me this song. First time I seen my little Betty Ann standing in the door, shoes and stockings in her hand, little bare feet on the floor. Step light, my little Betty Ann, step light, I say. Step so light, my little Betty Ann, and I'll be on my way. On the comes my little Betty Ann, how do you reckon I know? Tell by April strings tied in the double bow. Step light, my little Betty Ann, step light, I say. Step so light, my little Betty Ann, and I'll be on my way. Hanging on a tree, every time my Betty Ann match take a big bite me. Step like my little Betty Ann, step like I say. Step so like my little Betty Ann, and I'll be on my way. Fly around my pretty little face, fly around my daisy. I look back on us on the track and almost run me crazy. peaches in the summertime, apples in the fall. I grab my little bitty hand, like the one on the door. Step blood, my little bitty hand, step blood, I say. Step so love, my little bitty hand, I'll be on my way. Fly around my pretty little face, fly around my daisy, I'm back in the summer track, almost running away. Step blood, I say. Step so loud, my little bit, and I'll be on my way. Way back when I was, oh gosh, 20, 21 years old, and I looked like this, I was hired by Eastern State Psychiatric Hospital in Knoxville, Tennessee, to lead singing at their Sunday church services. Well, one Sunday, I got the bright idea of asking if anyone in attendance wanted to come up and sing a song. Well, they queued up and filled that hour. In fact, that was how the church services were from that point on. And no one knew how very healing those church services were going to be for everyone involved. One Easter Sunday, an old gentleman got up and sang this song that I have never forgotten. Christ was born in Bethlehem. Christ was born in Bethlehem. Christ was born in Bethlehem. In a manger laid. In a manger laid. In a manger laid. Christ was born Bethlehem, in a manger laid. Judas, he betrayed him. Judas, he betrayed him. Judas, he betrayed him. They nailed him to the tree. They nailed him to the tree, they nailed him to the tree. Judas, he betrayed him, they nailed him to the tree. Joseph begged his body, Joseph begged his body, Joseph begged his body and laid it in the tomb. But the tomb, it would not hold him. The tomb, it would not hold him. The tomb, it would not hold him. He burst the bonds of death. He burst the bonds of death, he burst the bonds of death. Down came an angel, down came an angel, down came an angel and rolled the stone away. And rolled the stone away. And rolled the stone away. Down came an angel and rolled the stone away. Christ was born in Bethlehem. Christ was born in Bethlehem. Christ was born in Bethlehem. In a manger. I.D. Stamper, Isaac David Stamper, was born in Searcy, Arkansas. As a young boy, his family moved to Letcher County, Kentucky. When he turned 30, inspired by a family relative, an itinerant dulcimer builder by the name of Uncle Ed Thomas, I.D. decided to try his hand at building his own instruments. Interesting fun fact, Uncle Ed Thomas was the fellow who famously provided the Ritchie family of Viper, Kentucky, with their dulcimers. The first dulcimers that I.D. built were small instruments with a high, sweet sound. As the years went on, I.D. began to experiment not only with the size and the tone of the instruments, but also with his own playing. I met I.D. at the Dock Boggs Festival in 1973. We became fast friends. And this is a dulcimer that he built for me and a song that he taught me. I'm walking down the track, I've got tears in my eyes, trying to read a letter from my home. This train runs me right, I'll be home tomorrow night. 900 miles away from home, and 8 years at lonesome was alone. Well, I pawn you my watch, and I pawn you my chain, pawn you my gold diamond ring. If this train runs me right, I'll be home tomorrow night. I am 900 miles away from home. I hate you, that lonesome was alone. I'm going to take you up to visit my old friend Currence Hammonds. Currence was a part of the much larger Hammonds family, which were mostly down in Pocahontas County, West Virginia, but Currence lived up in Randolph County in a little town called Mill Creek, just south of Elkins, West Virginia. Currence was one of the finest ballad singers I have ever heard. He was a lovely banjo player, a great storyteller. Boy, he could make a trip to the grocery store epic. He and his wife, Minnie, lived there in their little house right on the main highway, and I spent many a day visiting with them and eating at their little linoleum-topped kitchen table and recording hours and hours of his stories and musings and songs and banjo tunes, even whistling. I'd like to play one of my very favorite of Kurentz's pieces, one called The Moonshiner, which is a really different take on the more commonly known one from sources such as Roscoe Holcomb. I recorded this in 1977, I believe it was, at their house. Now, I used to teach at the Augusta Heritage Arts Workshop up in Elkins, West Virginia, at Davis and Elkins College for many, many summers. And one of the people that taught with me was a wonderful musician named Jerry Mills. And it was through Jerry that I met Kurentz and Minnie. Now, at the time, I was living in Southwest Virginia. And to get from my home in Scott County, Virginia, up to Elkins, I had to follow a very circuitous route that eventually led me right to Mill Creek and then on to Elkins. But coming home, I want to give you kind of a reverse road trip. After we visit with Kurentz Hammonds, we're going to stop in Glen Lynn, Virginia, and I'm going to play you a tune from the great Henry Reed, who lived in Glen Lynn. Now, Glen Lynn, by all rights, ought to be a part of West Virginia. Look it up on a map. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Henry died as a very old man in about 1969. As a young boy, he learned to play from an old man named Quince Dillon, who in his youth, are you still with me, was a fife player in Sam Houston's troops. And the piece from that I learned from Henry, that Henry learned from Quince, was called Santa Anna's Retreat. And I like to think, given the provenance of this tune, that Quince probably learned it at its source. If we kept going directly south from Glen Lynn, we would end up in Grayson County, a place so gorgeously beautiful that I named my eldest son's middle name is Grayson. And the highlight for me of going to Grayson County was to visit my old pal, Albert Hash, a wonderful fiddle player. I've got a fiddle that he built on the wall here in my studio. And his signature piece was the Hangman's Reel. And then we're going to finish up with the wonderful Uncle Charlie Osborne, who lived on Moccasin Creek on the Scott County line. Uncle Charlie was a left-handed fiddle player who played a right-handed fiddle. Everything he played, it sounded deliciously backwards. He played fiddle every day of his adult life, he claimed, and his grandson said, yes, that's true. He even played on the day he died at 101. And I learned the great tune, Sugar in the Gourd, from Uncle Charlie. So we're going to start off with Moonshiner by Kurentz's Hammonds, then play Santa Anna's Retreat from Henry Reed, the Hangman's Reel from Albert Hash, and Sugar in the Gourd from Uncle Charlie Osborne. I've been a moonshiner for many long years. I've spent all my money on whiskey and beer, but my breath is as sweet as the dew on the vine. God bless that moonshiner, I wish he was mine. My parents don't like me venture their door. Good morning, corn whiskey, I'll try you once more. Your breath is as sweet as the dew on the vine. God bless that moonshiner, I wish he was mine. she's not sugar in the gourd, and the gourd upon the ground. Well, the way to get the sugar is to roll the gourd around. When my friends at the Folk Life Center asked me to do this concert, they wanted me to include some material from my latest album. It is an album of 18 songs that I wrote during a 3-week quarantine at my North Georgia cabin during the early days of this pandemic. I opted to do mostly traditional material from the archives, but we'll grant this one request. 100 years from now, my great-great-grandchildren's time, will it bear any resemblance to this world of mine? This place of boundless beauty, wonders bright and bold, I can't possibly imagine what the time ahead might hold. Each day I am more of the past, the future is not mine, and I know that what is left me now is for the next in line. Have we packed well for the journey, done all that we could, or in trying to be great again, forgotten to be good? I saw the handprint on the cave wall, reaching from the past. I wonder just what kind of ancestor I might be at last. "100 years from now, my great-great-grandchildren's day, I hope they'll find the breadcrumbs I've left along the way. Just over the horizon, a place I cannot go, this message in a bottle from a century ago." I want to thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you for coming. And I'm going to be hanging around in the comments section for a while, so please hang out and ask some questions. I'll be happy to respond. And don't forget, every Wednesday at noon East Coast time, a new concert posts every Wednesday until September 30th. And be sure to check out the amazing collections that are all online for you at your library, the Library of Congress. Go to loc4libraryofcongress.gov/folklife. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in a minute.